I think I would consider Escape to be the best of the Apes sequels. Yeah, I would. I think it's got the most compelling premise, or certainly it's the most compelling in execution. It's genuinely very moving. I have to say, I'm watching this film and I'm as gripped and moved emotionally by it as I was when I was 10 years old. There's something very cinematic and beautiful about the whole thing. I love the music. I think the script is great. I think the two lead performances are extraordinary. I just think it's a superbly watchable film. I think it's impressive how it has that very light-hearted tone in the first half, and then it takes a very, very mean-spirited and sort of grim tone in its second half. Whenever I'd watch it when I was young, I was always sort of relishing in that early moment and sort of just dreading the downfall, dreading the tonal shift, and just sort of hoping that there was a way around it. You'd always, almost in your mind, you're imagining scenarios where things didn't have to go as tragically as they wind up. I find the phenomenon of the Planet of the Apes series fascinating. There was a window there, a brief window prior to Star Wars, seemingly, where Planet of the Apes was the big science fiction franchise. And in a respect, in the late 20th century, it sort of occupied a place as one of the big franchises in science fiction, in fandom, in geekdom. Obviously, Star Wars was the major IP. I think Star Trek would probably hold in second place. And then Planet of the Apes is enormous too. In the UK and Australia, Doctor Who certainly has its presence, although in North America, not to the same extent. I don't even know if in Canada. But Planet of the Apes just seem to have lots of Planet of the Apes fans amongst now older people in Australia here. And in America, it seems like an enormous phenomenon as well. It was just as common to see gorilla outfits from the Apes series along with people's Stormtrooper memorabilia. It was quite interesting. Don't know if I can sit here and really try or be bothered to make the case for those who... I'm in a precarious place. I'm not someone who's watching these films later in life and thinking, oh, hey, our other film, fucking snooty pricks, you need to go watch this, it's actually brilliant. I saw this when I was really quite young, and it's all five of these films, and so it's difficult to assess them, I don't know, more clinically, or see them how people who didn't see them at that age will see them. My bias didn't quite extend to still really liking Battle for the Planet of the Apes. We'll get to that one, I guess. But I still have an appreciation for it to some extent. Although that's the one that I can't bring myself to say, I love Battle. I can't even finish that saying it in the abstract, frankly. I love the idea of showing someone my age who hasn't, or slightly younger, who hasn't seen these films, all five of them for the first time. I'd be compelled to know how they would react. It's worth mentioning, I knew what would happen in all of these films. Obviously, actually, this is kind of interesting. When I first watched Planet of the Apes 68, I knew about the Statue of Liberty thing was so iconic, if for no other reason than I'd seen the Simpsons bit. Of course, we all know what that is. In A Fish Called Selma. I thought that maybe I was so riveted when watching Planet of the Apes for the first time on television when I was younger. I detailed that in my upload for Beneath to an extent. I assumed that they thought, I'm not picking up on every piece of dialogue when I'm a kid. I'm assuming they know they're on future Earth. Because to me, I don't know, if I was in the position of Taylor and the other astronauts, I would have thought, guys, I think it's more likely we're on future Earth and we've been out for that long, with or without the what's it called, the Heinlein something, not Heinlein, Hassline curve. It's a hang on, gorillas and humans, the exact same species do not involve on some other planet with very similar geography to Earth. There's no way. So I was when I never really got like Taylor being angry when he saw the Statue of Liberty. I was like, but didn't he know it was Earth? I realized, oh, so the twist is meant to be he didn't know it was Earth. He thought he was on some other planet. Got you, got you. But then when I saw those trailers, I mentioned that in the when I rented the DVD to watch it again a month or so later of Planet of the Apes. I rented the remake too, actually. God, but the Tim Burton film. But so. I saw the trailers for the sequels on the DVD as a bonus features of that, the 68 films disc, and I'm like, what is going on in these sequels? Like, I was like, wow, how Zero and Cornelius in Earth, and when's Conquest and Battle set? That's when does that happen? Does Battle set after Beneath? That's weird. There's mutants in it. So that's what I saw the trailers without any context, and then see this is what you could do if you were born in 1996, and access to certain kind of economic standard in the developed world. You went on the home computer and you went to this thing called Wikipedia and Planet of the Apes, and so I was like, you couldn't just download these movies, but you could read about what happened in them. And so sure enough, I reading about the world being blown up, I'm like, whoa, Beneath, and then Escape, Conquest, and Battle. I'm like, okay, so it's like you go back in time and sort of either change the past or create sort of a causality loop, and people still debate that to this day, which is very compelling. Is the statues tear at the end of battle one of joy or one of sadness? It's interesting to think about. And I've always, again, one thing that I found very interesting about the way the initial Five Apes films retcon things is that, so if you look at the first film and Beneath in isolation, Escape to some extent falls into this too. You don't assume that the replacement of the dominant species on Earth, the dominant intelligent species on Earth being apes from humans, you don't assume that had to do with man's downfall and the nuclear Armageddon. Like, you assume that the apes arise after the destruction of humanity at its own hands, and that they're not necessarily intertwined. Conquest and Battle infer that they are directly intertwined, and certainly that's where the reboot films went. I mean, that went with the virus angle rather than the nuclear war angle, so that's perfectly fine. It's doing its own thing. Yeah, Escape, I've waffled on for too long now.